Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. So today, I'm a koala bear. So, instead of playing a horror game, I'm going to be watching a horror video. Story 1 in the Black Mirror story.
I worked for a tech startup outside San Francisco. I didn't make a lot of money, but my boss assured me that once the company unveiled its new products, my salary would triple. I've been there for 3 years, and they still kept telling me that the product launch was coming soon.
Now, I know we haven't watched a lot yet, but isn't it annoying? Like, when someone says that they're gonna do something, like, in this case, like, triple his salary, like, but they never do it. Like, they basically just used him. Like, it's annoying.
I was starting to feel like they were just stringing me along.
Exactly.
I didn't quit though, because I needed the paycheck. Plus, I was able to work from home, which was really important for me. My older sister Elizabeth was paralyzed from the neck.
Sorry. What? Sorry? But just the hair?
My older sister Elizabeth was paralyzed from the neck down.
Okay, I didn't mean to laugh that much, okay?
Elizabeth demanded constant attention. She was an extremely difficult patient, always shouting at her nurses and taking out all her frustration.
I know that type of sound. Karen. Now, not saying that she is a Karen, but yelling at all the nurses and taking out all the frustrations, like, you know, that's a Karen.
She was even worse to me. Sometimes I wished that she just died.
Oh!
But then
That's a lot.
I felt really guilty for the thought.
Exactly.
One morning, I was spoon feeding her breakfast when my boss Antonio texted me about a mandatory meeting and then rushed over to my laptop. I expected the entire staff to be there, but it was just Antonio and me. He was the kind of person who never smiled. He told me that their product launch was finally going to happen, because that meant I'd finally have enough money to afford better full-time care for my sister.
Now, if you're wishing for your sister to die, but you also want to really take care of her well, that does mean that you love your sister. I mean, she was paralyzed. I mean, this story is called Black Mirror Story. I don't know what that means, but this is interesting so far.
Antonio explained that there was still one more hurdle that we had to deal with. The product had only been tested in-house, so they needed one more trial from someone outside of the office, someone who would represent the average customer. Because I just worked in marketing, I had no contact with the development team.
Bro, he needs someone to test it. It's a trial. Just look. You look fine. You look like a try to be Ken. But he still has the goods. He still has the capability. Plus, still in that job, while Antonio is like saying that the product launch is gonna happen. And now it's happening, so just say yes.
He made me the ideal candidate to test out the product.
Do it.
I tried to ask him what it actually did. After all, I'd worked for this company for years and I still wasn't told what they were developing. I wanted the company to succeed. I wanted the raise. So, I agreed.
You agree?
That afternoon, a small package arrived at my front door. Elizabeth was screaming at me at the time, so I almost didn't hear the doorbell. This made her mad. She screamed so loudly that I had to go outside for some peace and quiet. I looked over the device, a small square with about 20 buttons. It looked extremely generic, like an old calculator. It came with a one-page manual. I guessed it was some kind of handheld projector, but when I read over the manual, I realized that it was something much, much better. The manual explained that the device was for memory tourism.
Whoa.
By punching in the right code,
Is he gonna use it on his sister?
it could be sent back to any point in my conscious life,
Whoa.
which meant as far back as 5 years old.
5 years old?
The experience would last for 3 minutes at a time. I quickly scanned over the warnings, none of which seemed all that important, and then I decided to do my first test.
No.
I typed in the date of my college graduation. I I pressed the right buttons and then waited. And then my surroundings instantly disappeared.
Whoa!
I was now back at my old school, surrounded by former classmates.
Ooh.
It felt so
Wow.
real. I could feel the graduation robe hanging loosely over my body. I heard the dean call out my name, and I proudly walked onto the stage. I remember tripping over my robes on the way up the stairs, so I tried to walk slowly.
It's not even that
Thankfully,
long.
I didn't trip. I received my diploma and then looked out into the audience. I could see my parents and sister, and they weren't looking at me.
Oh no!
Elizabeth was throwing another tantrum, and both my parents were trying to calm her down. They'd missed my big moment. Everything faded away, and I was back to the present.
That's sad.
I couldn't believe it. I just experienced the past exactly as it had happened. I realized it wasn't exactly the same. In real life, I had tripped. But in this memory, I stopped myself from tripping.
Whoa!
I was able to change one little part.
That's cool.
I looked down at the manual one more time. The very last warning at the bottom of the page said, "Do not change any of your past actions." The living room was an absolute mess. "Now will you tell me what you got?" she asked. I didn't have time to be mad at her. I had to ask. "Did I trip during my graduation?" "What?" I asked her again. "When I was on stage getting my diploma, did I trip?" She refused to answer. She thought I was making fun of her for being in a wheelchair.
That doesn't make sense. He's asking a question about his past graduation. It doesn't mean he's making fun of you. Like,
Then I raced into my bedroom to try the device again. I figured I could do an easy experiment to find out. I set the device to 2 weeks.
you're going into the past. I've been waiting and I've been trying to keep it quiet, but just use it on your paralyzed sister, bro.
Ago when I'd gone to the salon. Instantly, I was taken back to the hairdresser's chair. The woman asked me what I wanted, and I told her that I'd like to get red highlights. She tried to talk me out of it, but I insisted. This lasted for the whole 3 minutes. Then I was back in my bedroom. I looked in the mirror and saw that my hair now had red highlights. So it worked. This machine was going to change the world. And I know exactly what I was going to do with it. I had to go back to when I was 4, when Elizabeth had her paralyzing accident.
She got paralyzed at 4? Okay, maybe I should have been yelling before to change Elizabeth's life. But like, oh my, 4 years old. It makes sense that she has crazy hair now.
I started the device, sending myself back to Elizabeth's 6th birthday party.
But if you... Oh god, I'm scared now. Like, if you think about it, Elizabeth's just sitting on her wheelchair, just sitting there, while he's going into the past. Like, imagine Elizabeth's, like, reaction when she has, like, good-looking body again.
Near my uncle's empty pool. Elizabeth had wanted to impress me by jumping off the diving board and landing on an inflatable raft. That was how she became paralyzed. Just as I'd remembered, Elizabeth and I were racing toward the diving board. None of the adults were paying attention. But then, something strange happened. I stepped onto the diving board instead of Elizabeth. "Get off there!" she screamed. "I told you it wasn't safe." "I'll be fine," I told her. Elizabeth screamed. She ran toward me, trying to pull me off the board. She wrapped her arm around me, pulling me back. But in the process, she slipped off the edge and fell into the pool.
Oh no!
That was when the memory ended. I was back in the present. Nothing made sense. Elizabeth chose to jump. That was how she hurt herself. She was showing off. It wasn't because she was trying to save me.
Oh no.
Or was it? She was paralyzed because of me. Because she was trying to save me. Slowly, my bedroom door creaked open and Elizabeth powered her wheelchair into my room. She saw me sobbing on my bed. "I'm sorry about your computer," she said.
Oh.
"I didn't mean to break it. What do you remember about your accident?" She didn't answer for a while. Then she said, "Nothing. It's all a blur. All I know is that I shouldn't have gone near that pool." I could tell that she was lying to me. She knew that she'd fallen because she was trying to save me. All this time, she never told me the truth. You remember it now, don't you? Did that machine help you remember? Why didn't you tell me? When you were a kid, you were always so wild and reckless. I was so worried that you would hurt yourself. If I hadn't been there. I can fix it, I said. Before she could say anything else, I turned the device back on and went back to the past. Once again, Elizabeth and I were running toward the empty swimming pool. Let's go back to the party, I said. And together, we walked back toward the adults. I was able to spend 2 precious moments enjoying my childhood once more before everything turned black. When I was in the present, I was no longer in my bedroom. Everything looked different.
Oh no.
I tried to look around the room, but I couldn't move my head. Couldn't move anything. Something was very wrong. Elizabeth walked in. She was no longer in a wheelchair. I was. She looked at me, annoyed. What is it this time?
Wow. That was kind of creepy, to be honest. It's definitely a horror, but I'm not sure about creepiness. It was creepy. That was the paralyzing situation. This was a react video, and I really, really enjoyed it. I hope you guys did too, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye!